Have you ever wondered how some people can immediately build connections, influence opinions and behaviors, and leave lasting impacts on their audience simply with how they communicate? Well, you, on the other hand, you don't do that. Which, to be fair, is like most people, as 75% of people fear speaking in public. That was me too. So naturally, I ended up finding a career in sales. Now I've helped generate millions of dollars for the companies I've worked with. After reading countless books, taking courses, years of personal experience with a lot of yeses, of course, but even more no's, I've made a number of surprising discoveries. One being that what you say is the least important factor in great speech. In this video, you're going to learn the secret frame game that leaders and politicians use to influence others' views, what the 6 effective frames are, and how to stack them with enhancers to influence others to do anything you want. All of this must be used responsibly. The frame game is simple. You take a simple statement and you frame or package that statement to alter the way it's perceived by others. The 6 effective frames leaders use are the power frame, the data frame, the prize frame, the commodity frame, the intrigue frame, and the most powerful frame out of all, moral authority. To help you understand each frame, we're going to use this example. I think sleep is good. The power frame is when you can use accolades, seniority, money, or other factors to frame your perspective from a powerful position. For example, as CEO of a Fortune 500 company, I think sleep is good. The simple statement, sleep is good, is now amplified by the frame of, I'm a CEO and you aren't, so obviously I'm right. The data frame uses statistics to enhance a statement. Sleep is good turns into, top neuroscientists and hundreds of studies show that 8 hours of sleep each night is a good thing. Now the prize frame, this is a fun one to use in sales and dating. This helps you stand out from competition while placing you on a pedestal. Top athletes from around the world have asked me for my sleep routine. This positions you as exclusive. You're important, you're something of high value. The commodity frame is used to reduce the weight someone else's opinion or statement holds. Someone might say, well, I think you should just get 5 hours of sleep each night. Yeah, unfortunately, that's what most underperformers think. You're framing their thinking as being unoriginal, something the opposite of the prize frame, and it's shown in a bad light, something underperformers have. Therefore, sleep is good is now placed on a higher pedestal. The intrigue frame is a personal favorite of mine. As you've probably figured out in your own life, people don't like to be wrong. The intrigue frame allows you to disagree with someone while moving a conversation forward. I think sleep's overrated. That's one way to look at it. This response invites a follow-up question from the other person. They'll start thinking, one way, what are the other ways? Am I wrong? All of this helps put the control of a conversation back in your hand. While the power and prize frames are 2 of the strongest, they are overpowered by the moral authority frame. Because you might be a CEO that can sell a BS sleep product and make a lot of money off of it, but it wouldn't be right to scam people out of money. Framing statements with this light holds the most weight, and politicians use this all the time for each of their policies to trigger emotional responses in the minds of people. And speaking of politicians, if you were hoping for examples of Donald and Joseph using these different frames, I'm going to disappoint you. While entertaining, I don't believe Donald is one of the greatest speakers of all time. And Joseph, he's a shell of the speaker he was earlier in his career. But I will be using an individual from each side of the political aisle to help display the power of frame stacking, while adding some enhancers on top of the frames. On the left side, we've got Obama, and on the right side, we've got Vivek. They are both world-class communicators. And the saying goes, it is right to learn, even from the enemy. So put your political views on pause and see what you can take from each of these speakers.
Most of the candidates on stage Wednesday night said Mike Pence did the right thing on January 6th. Do you agree?
In this clip, the anchor strategically puts Vivek in a difficult situation, asking him a close-ended question on a topic that will make half the nation upset no matter how he answers it.
I would have done it very differently.
Vivek doesn't take the bait, and he uses the intrigue frame to get us and the anchor curious and open to what he says next.
I think that there was a historic opportunity that he missed to reunite this country in that window. What I would have said is this is a moment for a true national consensus where there's two elements of what's required for a functioning democracy in America. One is secure elections, and the second is a peaceful transfer of power.
In his response, Vivek stacks the intrigue frame with the analyst and moral authority frame. He defines the process of a functioning democracy, which paints him as an expert on the subject. He also uses words like peaceful, reunite this country, and a true national consensus. All things that he uses to have us look at his response from a certain angle. To enhance his frame game, Vivek speaks with absolute conviction. He does not end a single sentence with upwards tonality, which is often used when asking questions. Upward tonality indicates lack of certainty, and when Vivek speaks, every sentence ends in either a neutral or a downward projection, showing his confidence in himself and instilling confidence in his audience. Extra tip, this works phenomenally in dating. People are attracted to those who are sure of themselves, who are confident. End your sentences with either a neutral or a downward tone and see what happens. You'll notice Vivek and Obama are experts at this. Roll the next clip.
What is the one thing you would go back and change during your presidency, and how would you change it?
Other than dyeing my hair.
Now, if you can, adding humor to any response will win you extra points, but it has to be done right. We'll dive into the frames Obama uses in a second, but before we do, pay attention to the pace of his response. He does not rush to answer. He doesn't rush on his delivery. These are also signs that instill confidence in your audience, and it signals that you are not rattled.
I have to tell you, every day, I make some mistake. Fortunately, most of them aren't that big. If something's easy, it does not reach my desk. By definition, somebody else has solved it. If something's easy to solve, I don't even see it. Somebody else has solved it a long time ago. So most of the time, I'm dealing with probabilities. If I'm making a decision about, are we going to take a strike against bin Laden, I don't even know if bin Laden's there. And I've got young men and women, who are at risk when I send them there. I'm operating on probabilities.
Look, this is not an easy subject. There is gravity to the situations he's talking about. Obama uses the expert and the data frame to amplify his answer. He's counted on to solve difficult problems that no one else can solve. Expert. Everything is done in probabilities. Data. Adding those frames completely changes the effect his answer has on his audience. Next clip.
That language, they live like vermin. Do you believe that that is, as your Republican colleague Chris Christie has said, neo-Nazi rhetoric?
This is a classic mainstream media move. Pick some individual phrase of Donald Trump, focus on literally that word without actually interrogating the substance of what's at issue.
Vivek has us look through the commodity frame when he says classic mainstream media move. He also adds the moral authority frame when stating it's not right to take one word out of context without examining the entire substance of a discussion. This puts him and his response on a higher pedestal than the question at hand, setting up his further response.
I talk about the issues, we all talk about them differently, but what I'm not going to do is play some game of focusing on some word that somebody else said without ignoring entirely the substance of what we're actually talking about. Focus on the substance and let's have an actual policy debate rather than talking to a presidential candidate instead of the policy substance of what's actually going on in the country, picking on some word that Donald Trump said on a certain day and asking me for comment on it. Give me a break.
He again commoditized the question, having an audience view it as a really bad question while framing himself as the prize, positioning himself as an expert that they want his insight on. Again, with all of his frames, he continues to speak with tonality that exudes confidence, neutral and downward tones only. Next clip.
Most importantly, we will live up to our character as a nation. That's exactly what we're talking about. Yeah.
No one likes to be interrupted. Even less people like their views to be challenged in a public setting. Take note that Obama doesn't overreact. The Stoic quote from Marcus Aurelius says, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. He operates at his own pace, and he focuses on his response rather than the actions of others, giving off a calmness to him. He then goes on to stack the power frame, the moral authority frame, commodity frame, and prize frame. See if you can identify them in his response here.
Now, what you need to know when I'm speaking as President of the United States, and I come to this community, is that if, in fact, I could solve all these problems without passing laws in Congress, then I would do so. But we're also a nation of laws. That's part of our tradition. And so the easy way out is to try to yell and pretend like I can do something by violating our laws. And what I'm proposing is the harder path, which is to use our democratic processes to achieve the same goal that you want to achieve, but it won't be as easy as just shouting.
He uses the power frame, emphasizing that he's the president of the United States. Huge flex. He uses the moral authority frame when he acknowledges it wouldn't be right to not follow the laws of the land. He uses the commodity frame when he states the easy path is to sit there and yell. He also uses the prize frame to shine light on this is the path I would choose, the difficult path that leads to greatness. The frame game isn't something you're going to master overnight. I would recommend focusing on one frame for anywhere between a day and a week to simply get comfortable there. You can add in enhancers while practicing, such as being non-reactive in conversations, pausing and allowing slow pace, focusing on your tonality and word choice to display conviction and confidence. If you improve day after day, soon enough, you'll be communicating like the best of the best. If you learned something here, leave a comment down below to help others continue to learn through a different perspective. And also, like this video because this is literally how I get paid. I need your likes. Please just like the video.